In the spring of 1908, Winnie Decker was startled awake one night, drenched in a cold sweat, by a horrific dream. In this haunting vision, her son Arthur was at the center of a series of bizarre events unfolding in an unfamiliar and distant place. The vision commenced with Arthur, clad in his Navy uniform, emerging from his bed and venturing through a mysterious doorway into an unknown land that Mrs. Decker could not recognize. However, something seemed awry as Arthur did not commence his day as usual. He appeared to be trapped in a haze or sleepwalking. As her son aimlessly wandered through a building, he stumbled upon a railway yard and began a slow stroll along the train tracks. Arthur continued this journey for quite some time until he reached a sizable hill. Unbeknownst to the young seaman, as he ascended the knoll alongside the tracks, a locomotive barreled towards him from the other side. Mrs. Decker could only hear the shrill whistle of the approaching train as it bore down on her son before the scene abruptly changed. In an instant, Winnie Decker found herself confronted with a solemn procession of uniformed men, following a horse-drawn carriage draped in an American flag. Within the carriage rested a casket, signifying a funeral procession. Dozens of soldiers trailed behind, a mournful sight to behold. The carriage traveled a great distance until finally halting at a cemetery, where the men encircled the grave while a clergyman performed a solemn religious ceremony. As the lifeless body was laid to rest, floral tributes adorned the casket before the scene shifted once more. This time, Mrs. Decker saw herself reading letters meticulously typed on United States Navy letterhead, each bearing heartfelt condolences for her unimaginable loss. After experiencing 2 consecutive unsettling incidents, the weary mother meticulously penned a detailed account of what had transpired, accompanied by a heartfelt cautionary message to her son, emphasizing the importance of staying vigilant, particularly in the vicinity of trains. Anticipating her son's safety, Mrs. Decker dispatched the letter the following morning and anxiously awaited his response. Several weeks passed, and Mrs. Decker's anxiety mounted with each passing day. Then, on a seemingly ordinary afternoon, her restlessness led her to the mailbox, where she discovered a letter bearing her son's name. On September 4, 1908, while Mrs. Decker was tidying up her home, an urgent knock abruptly interrupted her chores. Startled, she opened the front door to find a man dressed in uniform, clutching an urgent telegram. In that moment, a wave of dreadful premonition washed over her as she accepted the letter from the officer's outstretched hand. Overwhelmed with grief, she crumbled to the floor, her tears flowing uncontrollably. Sensing her anguish, the compassionate soldier knelt down and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, offering solace to the shattered mother. The telegram revealed the tragic news that her son had been struck by a train in Australia, his final resting place marked by a solemn ceremony of honors in Melbourne, exactly as she had foreseen in her haunting dream. Please like the video and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find our Southern Ghost Stories books over at Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble.